Consistency can only come from something that is fixed and permanent. So God wants his nature to be afflicted upon our souls in such a permanent way that wherever we find ourselves, we can be sure that we will produce good fruit. If you have not come to that, it means that we have not come to the place of character yet. Character is simply consistency. Consistency. And so you are predictable. We know what your answer will be if you are asked this question. We know what your reaction will be if you come across this situation. We know that if you come across a situation where you have to compromise your faith, we know that you will not compromise your faith. You will stand your ground. You will choose your convictions above your faith, above the circumstances. And that is character. Now, if you don't have constant, fixed, permanent principles and convictions that you are living by, you have not gotten to a place of character yet. God wants us to be consistent, said that wherever we are the same. Character doesn't change with the environment. People of character don't change with the environment. It is fixed regardless of the environment. So your environment can change. You can find yourself in an environment that is different from the environment that you used to be in. But principles are the same. Convictions are the same. There's something permanent. Said that even relationships around you can be sacrificed for those principles. Jesus Christ said, he said, if you obey my commandments, then are ye my friends. So Jesus didn't have permanent friends. He said, now I call you friend because you obey my commandments. Why? He had permanent interests, permanent principles, not permanent friends. Why? Because the friends could change. He can sacrifice any friend if that friend does not follow certain laid down principles that he honors and he observes. That's a person of character, a person of conviction. You know, I heard of Mandela, that when he was in prison, they offered him several times, offered him freedom, if only he will renounce his stand on apartheid. And he said anytime they will come to the prison, they will come with a lot of promises. We will give you this, we will give you this, we will do this for you, do that for you. At the end time they came, he would tell them, go and close the door. The door. So get out and close the door. Because he was not prepared to change his stand on apartheid. Not to do anything, but just to change his stand, his principle. Some that took him to prison for 27 years. You know, so why did he go to prison for that length of time and still held on to his principles? There were things that he so passionately believed in. They had become permanent principles in his life. Said that you could sacrifice anybody at all for those principles. If there's nothing like that in our lives, we have not gotten to the place of character. There might be things that we protect with jealousy, that we are never willing to open for discussion or to compromise, no matter who is telling us to do so. Those are the things that are things that constitute character. Absolutes, things that are absolutes for you, and things that are convictions that you will not violate. You see, when you see a person of character, you will note all these things in the life of the person. There are some principles the person will never violate, regardless of who you are. It doesn't matter who you are. And if there's nothing like that in your life, then you will be blown about by every wind that comes and changes around you, in your environment. There are people who look very spiritual. They look very spiritual till they travel. Then we realize that those things they were doing were not out of conviction. There are people who look very spiritual till somebody opened a suitcase of money and realized that all the talking that you were talking was not out of conviction. You were doing so because you didn't have the opportunity to dethrone your convictions. When you have opportunity to dethrone your convictions and you are able to keep your convictions on the throne, you are a person of character. When your situation changes And we don't see you change. There's some people, when God even lifts them up, you will see that they will change. You will see they will change. There are people who will never look for old friends because they claim that God has lifted them. And the friends that they had who were with him through thick and thin, they will just despise them and think that they have moved on. You may have moved on, but you see, principles are principles. You see, when David was promoted to the palace, you know what he was doing? David will go and serve Saul, and he will come back to feed his father's sheep. God saw David's consistency, and God said, look, I've seen the way you are consistent. I'm going to promote you to shepherd Israel. Because God is looking for consistency as a platform to build something on. So look at this David. His father's few sheep. He was attending to the sheep. When the father sent him to go to the battlefield, you know what he did? He left the sheep in the hand of a keeper. Consistency. His eyes were on the sheep. His mind was on the sheep. In fact, the first introduction of David was, he said, there he is with the sheep. Samuel said, is there no son of yours that is left? Because all these 7 sons, none of them, God has chosen none of them. Then Jesus said, oh, there he is with the sheep. That was the first introduction. And when Saul was requesting that Jesse releases David to him to serve in the palace, he says, release to me your son, the one with the sheep. David was a sheep keeper, to the extent that when he was running an errand for the father, he had the wisdom to leave the sheep in the hand of a caretaker before leaving. And God said, I need such character, I need such consistency to build something on. If I want to appoint a king to sit on Israel's throne, I must have somebody who is a shepherd at heart. And how do you see people who are shepherds at heart? Consistency. Consistency. So he will go to the palace and come back to attend to the few sheep. He will go to the palace and come, and God said, I love this. I love this. So consistency means having a track record of good behavior. A track record of good behavior.